The green place is one of the remaining areas with fresh water and agriculture, where Furiosa and Valkyrie are picking peaches when they see raiders discover their home. Furiosa tries to sabotage their motorcycles, but the raiders capture her as a prize for their leader Dementis, leader of the biker horde. Before she's captured, she signals to her people, therefore alerting her mother Mary, who pursues them to the horde's camp, killing all but one raider. But she fails to kill the last raider because he put Furiosa behind him in line of shot. The last raider arrives at the camp, excited to announce his discovery, but he is wounded in the throat by Furiosa before he can reveal the green place's location to Dementis. Here we meet Dementis, who is fascinated but wants concrete evidence, so the raider is brought in to show the location, but Furiosa attacks his point of injury before he could speak, resulting in his instant death. Dementis tells Furiosa he will take her home safely the next day if she reveals the location. Mary quietly enters the camp and rescues her daughter, but Dementis tracks them down. The mother stays back to buy time for Furiosa to escape and gives her a peach pit to remember her by. Furiosa refuses to leave and returns. Therefore, Dementis forces Furiosa to watch her mother's crucifixion. Sometime after, Dementis besieges another settlement with fresh water and agriculture called the Citadel and tries to subdue them, but his army is repelled by the warboys, who are fanatic warriors of their leader and warlord Immortan Joe. Dementis changes course, using a Trojan horse strategy to capture Gastown, an oil refinery that supplies the Citadel with gasoline, and requests a negotiation. At the peace negotiation, Joe recognizes the authority of Dementis over Gastown and increases its supplies of food and water in exchange for the Horde's physician, the organic mechanic, and Furiosa, so Dementis reluctantly agrees. Afterwards, Joe imprisons Furiosa with his stable of wives inside a vault. The organic mechanic helps one of Immortan Joe's wife deliver, but is disappointed she conceived a girl, so she is used as a milker to produce milk. Joe's son, Rictus, likes Furiosa, so she devises a plan to escape by cutting all her hair and placing it on her head like a wig. One night, Rictus breaks Furiosa out of Joe's vault to rape her, but she slips from his grasp using a wig made from her own hair and disappears. Disguised as a mute teenage boy, Furiosa works her way up the ranks of Joe's men for over a decade unnoticed. She helps build the War Rig, a heavily armed supply tanker that can withstand any raider attack in the lawless Wasteland. She plans to escape by hiding a biker and some foodstuffs to survive later on the rig, when Joe sends his top driver, Praetorian Jack, on a supply run. Disillusioned by callousness of Dementis, his lieutenant, the Octoboss, goes rogue and launches an air assault on the war rig. His mortifliers slaughter the rig's entire crew and destroys Furiosa's hidden motorcycle and foodstuffs, so Furiosa teams up with Jack to defeat them. She uses the roller at the rear end of the war rig to kill the Octoboss, neutralizing him and his men. Furiosa tries to carjack the rig and drive home, but Jack easily thwarts her and drives away. However, he recognizes her potential and offers to train her to escape if she helps him rebuild his crew. Furiosa becomes Jack's second in command and is promoted to Praetorian. During their fuel run, it's seen there is some unrest in Gastown, but this is ignored by Jack and Furiosa. They fill up the war rig and set off. On their way back, Jack gives Furiosa a gun as a gift, telling her that her services has been paid and promises to help her escape, but needs some time to plan her escape. Later that night, Jack wakes Furiosa from a nightmare, and she lashes out scared, but returns to sleep. Jack and Furiosa return to Gastown sometime to discover the town's unrest is increasing. Clear indication of the mismanagement of resources by Dementis. This where Furiosa meets Dementis again, but he doesn't recognize her since she has grown. Dementis comes out to guide them through safe exit, telling Jack to inform Joe for a renegotiable meeting, claiming their previous arrangement is not sufficient for his people anymore. They manage to escape the enraged townspeople of the bikers' horde who attack them, trying to enter the war rig, eventually stabbing Furiosa in the shoulder, which Jack treats. They relay this message to an enraged Joe, who orders an attack by first securing weapons from Bullet Farm before attacking the biker horde. Furiosa and Jack bond as he treats her wounds and open up about their past and resolve to escape together. but she declines to open until Jack confides in her, gaining her utmost trust. They see an opportunity when Joe orders Furiosa and Jack collect weapons and ammunition from an allied mining facility called the Bullet Farm. So Jack makes her drive the last car of the convoy so as to give her a way to escape. They continue their run until they reach Bullet Farm and later realize Dementus has ambushed them upon arrival. Furiosa escapes the ambush since she was the last of the convoy. Furiosa enters her car and decides to leave until she sees Jack shoot the smoke gun, signaling that there was no problem, meaning no help was coming. This changes her mindset, and she decides to help Jack fight off Dementus's men. Therefore, she gets to a strategic position with a sniper to help Jack, eliminating Dementus' men and trying to shoot Dementus, who cowardly hides. But before she could get an accurate shot, Dementus shoots with a grenade launcher, demolishing the grounds she rests on, crumbling around her. She survived. Jack collides the war rig into the building that Dementus hides in, toppling it into a melting magma. Jack's truck gets pulled into the hot pit by a collapsing crane, but Furiosa saves him and they drive to safety. Furiosa and Jack barely escape, and Furiosa's left arm is injured. Dementus is saved by one of his men, and they chase Jack and Furiosa before they report to Joe. While on the run, Furiosa and Jack plan to evade far from the chaos till it subsides, while Dementus breaks down the barricaded gate to chase them. Furiosa and Jack drive as swift as possible, but Dementus take a shortcut to catch up. Jack, spotting them from afar, tries to shoot them but is also wounded. Dementus eventually catches up and ruffles up their car with his, and ends up injuring Furiosa's left arm with his tires. He manages to topple their car and drags their unconscious body out, while his men later arrive jubilating. To set an example, he chains Jack to a bike and drags him around while his dogs feed on his body and forces a chained Furiosa to watch. This torture goes on till Jack is devoured at dusk. Dementus turns to his surprise to see Furiosa gone, escaping her chains by severing her own injured arm to escape. A lone man watches from afar as Furiosa struggles back to the Citadel, but she passes out and is taken by people who feed on the maggots of dead people at the Citadel. She wakes up terrified, but escapes and manages to get to Joe, where she and Joe's aide, People Eater, form a strategy to trick Dementus and defeat him. Before Joe leaves, she tells Joe to leave Dementus for her to kill for revenge. Dementus spies from afar and is lured into the trap, thinking Joe sent his war boys to their former location, and heads to the Citadel to wage war. Upon their arrival, the People Eater signals the war boys to return by shooting the red flare and ambush Dementus' men. The war boys crush the army of Dementus in a dueling 40-day war. Having lost her path home, which was tattooed to her left arm, Furiosa shaves her head again, replaces her arm with a mechanical prosthetic, gets herself a very effective vehicle without a tire, so she steals the tire and pursues the defeated and fleeing Dementus as Joe's men watch in astounding awe. Upon noticing that they are being chased, Dementus changes his attire with his remaining men and go diverse ways to confuse their chaser. His plan works as she fails to kill him, and he escapes into the desert and hides in a tent. After an extended chase, Furiosa finds Dementus in the tent, secretly disabled his bike tires while he slept to prevent him from escaping, and taunts him by chasing him with a car until he gives up. But before she decides to kill him, she tells him to show remorse and remember her, which he seems not to feel the slightest bit, and has no memory of either. Furiosa tortures him, trying to get an apology from him, but Dementus refuses, saying that's how life is, and he is unapologetic for his past deeds, after which he gets into an epileptic shock, and Furiosa takes his teddy, and is at this instant he recognizes her and tries to convince her to merge forces with him, but she declines. There are rumors that she shot him or burnt him to the stake, but the truth is Furiosa imprisoned Dementus at the Citadel and used his living body as fertilizer to grow a peach tree from her mother's seed. Furiosa is promoted and helps Joe's 5 breeder wives escape. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode.